You need to learn how to solve problems in this life. Here's my framework for doing just that. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Damien Alvarez. I am on a weird self-development journey, I guess you can say, at this point in my life. Just looking for things to make my life better, improve myself. I share those things with you guys, and hopefully you can take a few pieces of it and apply it to your life as well. So, the basis of this video, I want to go over my problem-solving framework, something that I've developed over the past few months here that has really helped me get through a lot of the problems that I face in my life, running an online business, and just be, being a young adult in this world nowadays. So now let me bring you back to the beginning. So in late 2023, I had moved back to Chicago from Scottsdale. I had moved in with two of my closest friends. I still live here today. That's where I'm at today at this point. But I was going through this weird phase in my life. Nothing really made sense to me. I was working my 9 to 5 job. I still am working my 9 to 5 job at this point. But everything from the outside, from others people's perspectives, was that I was very successful and that I got through the college degree and I have this really, this good paying job working 100% remote. And, from the outside looking in, from the people that are around me, everything seemed to be going great. But I just felt this deep sense of confusion and not really knowing how to do things. What my next step was, where do I go from here? I didn't really want to. I still don't want to really climb the corporate ladder. That doesn't seem like something that is very appealing to me. I know that I can be a lot more successful outside of that. So, started my own online business in early 2022, which is still going strong today. But that's besides the point. So, what I'm trying to get at here is from the people who are, my parents and my peers. Everything seems to be going good for me from the outside looking in, but in general, things weren't on the inside, right? I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what my next step was. I had no sense of direction. I didn't know how to figure things out. I had no idea how to critically problem solve, none of that. So turn to the internet as you do, right? There's a lot of self-help gurus nowadays online, and I was stuck in this phase for a few months of just constantly listening to self-help stuff at 2 times speed on YouTube, trying to look for some answers and just constantly consuming content every day, all day. And that it felt like it was making things better, but at the end of the day, looking back now, it was just making things a whole lot worse. I was just filling my brain with unlimited, dopamine from feeling like I'm doing something with listening to these podcasts and listening to these audiobooks and stuff, but there was really nothing coming out of it. I wasn't taking action on anything. I had no idea how to problem solve, right? So this was until I came across an online business personality, I guess you can say, by Alex Hormozi. I've talked about him before in a few other videos, but he's been a huge role model, a huge mentor to me, even though I've never spoken to him personally. Just through his online presence, he's been one of the greatest role models and mentors I've had in my life at this point. So I was listening to one of his long form podcasts, as you do, right? And he was discussing this thing that he does every single week, every single Monday, where he has a back and forth chat with his 85-year-old self. And he named that person Solomon. Now, if you don't know who Solomon is, he was a king in the Bible who was known for giving out extremely, divine wisdom and being the best at telling people what to do and how to live their lives. But he himself lived a really messy, hedonistic life, right? So it was kind of the contrary. That's where the idea of Solomon's paradox comes from, where we're super good at giving out advice to people, but we're not good at taking it or giving it to ourselves. Now, keeping that paradox in mind, I was thinking about how to best utilize that situation. How clearly Alex Hormozi is very successful with what he's doing, so he's doing this for a reason. So I wanted to implement that in my life, maybe give myself some more clarity. So I developed my own sort of way of doing it through I call it meditation through journaling. It's a little bit of a nuanced and unique perspective on the whole meditation and journaling mantra, I guess you can say. A lot of it's going on right now where people are pushing meditation. You have to meditate as soon as you wake up, or you have to do this every day, or whatever, before you go to sleep, meditate or whatever. I don't really believe in all that stuff, to be honest with you. I know it's good for you, but I just find I find it a lot of the times they're just pushing that stuff on you to try to sell you a program or something to take money from you. So I've put my own spin on it. I don't sit there and really meditate, but um, the process that the process that I've developed in terms of meditating through journaling is just that, right? It's journaling to a point where you are in this deep state, talking to yourself and figuring out problems by yourself. So this all started on September 17th, 2023. So 4 or 5 months ago at this point, where I wrote my first journal entry. And what that journal entry consisted of was just 10 affirmations. I put that in quotes because they're not really affirmations. They're just 5 I am statements and 5 I will statements. So for example, in the article that I wrote, the first one that I put was I am worthy of all things coming to me. So I guess it's an affirmation, but in a sense, it's just whenever when you're writing these things down, you just write out I am, and the first thing that comes to your mind is what you write down. That's what I do. I think it's the most honest and truthful way to do it. If you try to think about it too much and only try to write positive affirmations for your life, then it is, you're misguiding the self-reflective portion of what the whole practice is about. So I'd write out my 10 affirmations, 5 I am and then 5 I will, and then I would tell myself that I love myself. I just think it's a good practice to get into. Sometimes you don't hear it very often from people around you, so it's good to just at least tell yourself that. So I did that for a few months, and then this is when I came across the Alex Hormozy technique of the self dialogue, talking to yourself. So on that day, I put into practice what I was learning about, and I started talking to my Solomon, right? So there's 10 affirmations at the top of the page, and then at the bottom of the page, there's just a paragraph of self dialogue with your 85-year-old self. Now, the reason why it's your 85-year-old self and not just yourself as you are right now is because that person has already been through exactly, he's been through your whole life, right? So he's already been through what you are going through right now. He understands the problems, and the most important part is that he has your best interest at heart, right? Because it's you. It's you in the future. So there's no bias on the advice that you give yourself. There's no ulterior motive. It's just you in the future wanting the best for yourself. So I would picture myself sitting across the table one on one with this person and just talking to this person. So I would flesh out all my worries, all my problems, all my everything that's going on in my life, and I would give myself advice based on what I was telling it. So the advice that you get from this person is extremely raw. It's extremely, sometimes it's hurtful because you are the one giving it to yourself and you don't really know what to expect. But when you get into this flow state when you're writing and you think about your problems down, deep into the core of what they're actually caused from, you know exactly what the answer is to the problem. You just don't want to face that or admit it because it's painful, right? It's very painful to dig up problems in your life or think about what you're worrying about and why exactly you're worrying about it. And this 85-year-old self of you doesn't care what the hell you think about, right? They don't care about your feelings. They just want you to be happy. So giving myself advice from my 85-year-old self has been one of the most helpful things that I've done over the past few months. It's grown me in crazy ways. That the personal growth that you get from that is absolutely insane. Through this practice of journaling every night and talking to my 85-year-old self every single night and just letting my brain go wild, and letting my, when I'm writing down, it's more of like a stream of consciousness to the journal on the page. It's not, there's no rhyme or reason to anything that you're writing about, not in the affirmations or not in the conversation with your 85-year-old self. It's just a stream of consciousness. You just let your brain go wild. You turn the lights off in your room, sit there and just have a pen, have a paper, and just write. The things that you hear are sometimes really crazy, but it's really helpful. So I have a 6-step action item list for you in order to implement this in your life today and to see the growth, hopefully, that I've seen over the past few months. So the first step that I have for you is to pick up a really badass pen and journal. If it's cool to you and you pick up a pretty expensive journal and a nice expensive pen, it's going to incline you to do it more often and make it more of a habit. If you just pick up a little 5-star notebook like I have over here and a little cheap Bic pen, it's going to be not as enjoyable to write down things. And you want to make this as frictionless as possible for you because it's something that you're going to be doing every single night. So the second thing is to set a specific time and place to do this. So I do this right here at this table. I turn all these lights off and then I light a candle and I do it right here at this table. And I've done that, obviously if I'm out of town or traveling or something, then I do it regardless of where I'm at. But I like to do it right here because it lets your brain associate that area with deep thinking and critical self-analysis. So pick a place, pick a time to do it. I do it every night at 9:30, and that's just allowing your brain to develop an association with your space and your time with deep think and reflection is paramount to getting to that deep flow state. So the third thing is write out your 5 I am and 5 I will affirmations. Now, like I said, there's no rhyme or reason to any of this. There's no structure. There's no advice I can give you on how to do it. Just start writing. Start writing out your first 5 affirmations, and whatever comes to mind is the first thing you should write down. Whether it's positive or negative or neutral, you need to let your brain develop these things, and let your subconscious kind of go crazy when you're writing these things out. So the fourth thing you want to do is, before you get into your conversation, your self internal dialogue with your 85-year-old self or your Solomon, you want to close your eyes and actually visualize sitting across the table from this person. It's become, at the beginning when I started doing this and I tried to visualize this person, I just couldn't do it. My brain wasn't ready to accept or to see that person yet. But over time, you start to develop a figure in your brain when you start talking to this person and you start actually having a conversation with them, that develops into an actual. It looks like a real human being at this point to when I visualize it. So close your eyes, think about what that person looks like, where that person is, what they're wearing, what shadows are drawn across them, who else is at the table, what environment you guys are in. Deeply try to actually visualize sitting across the table from a person, and you'll be pleasantly surprised as to what your brain can come up with. So, if you don't do this, if you just start writing out to yourself, then I just think it's almost pointless. You don't really know who you're talking to. You have no visualization of what this person is or what they look like, and I just think you get better advice if you visualize sitting with that person. So. Now, the fifth thing is, you treat your journal entry when you start writing as a stream of consciousness. This is very important. You don't want to have any ulterior motives, or you don't want to try to lead the conversation in a certain direction. You just want to start talking to yourself. Whatever is top of mind, start talking about it. Whatever problems you're going through, start talking about it. Writing to this person, and allow yourself to have back and forth banter with yourself. You don't always have to write from the perspective of you talking to this person. You can also write from that person talking back to you. So there really is no rhyme or reason to what the journal entry needs to be about or how it's structured. It's just a stream of consciousness as to what you're going through at this point. Now, you can write for as long as you need to. You can write for 5 minutes. I've had a couple of minutes of just writing before. I've sat there and wrote 3-4 pages over the course of an hour sometimes. So there is no time limit on how long you're able to do it. Typically, I try to keep my journal entry to the rest of the page that I have, just because it's organized better for me. The next day I can start on a fresh page, and it's just easier for me. But if that doesn't work for you, then you can do virtually whatever you want, right? So just write for as long as you need to. Right? If you're in deep conversation with this person and you are really getting a lot out of it, then just keep writing. There's no reason to stop in the middle of something just because you reached the end of the page. Right? Go on to the next page. Keep writing. Keep going. Keep talking to yourself. Fleshing these things out internally is the way that you solve problems. Right? It's the way that you get through things. It's the way you think through things. It allows your subconscious to develop a deeper understanding of the problem and to figure out why it's happening and how you can solve that. So the sixth thing I have for you, and the final thing, is after you're finished with this exercise, go straight to sleep. There is no reason to do all this and then go lay in bed and fry your brain with TikTok or with short form content. But you need to go straight to sleep, and you need to let your subconscious continue to think about these conversations and to continue to solve the problems for you while you're sleeping. Right? Oftentimes, you'll find that when you do this and you go straight to sleep, you'll often dream about what you're going through and what's happening in your life, just because it's the freshest thing in your mind right when you go to sleep. So that can be another thing that helps you solve the problems. If you're going through these things and you get different perspectives in your dreams, then it's more power to solving the problem, right? So you need to get in the habit of not using your phone right before you go to sleep, especially after doing something like this, just because it ruins the whole exercise. Now, if it comes to a point where you don't think you're going to be tired after you do a journal entry and you don't think you can go straight to sleep, sometimes what I do is I'll take melatonin right before I start journaling, or 30 minutes before I start this whole exercise. So that way, by the time I'm finished with my journaling or my meditation for the day, then I am extremely tired and I want to go straight to sleep. So just a little quick tip for you there, if you think that you are a night owl or you can't go to sleep and when you want to go to sleep. So that's it. That's my framework for solving problems, right? I just talk to my 85-year-old self about it every single night in the most calm environment that I can, in order to really flesh out exactly what the problem is, go to the root of it, and figure out how we can make it better. Now, if you do this practice for the next 90 days, I promise you will be unrecognizable to not only yourself but your peers. Developing a framework for solving the problems in your life is one of the most important things you can do. Think about it. If you never solve problems that are going on in your life, you will never evolve from where you are right now. And if you're content being the same person you are right now for the rest of your life, then that's on you, right? We're here to evolve. We're here to get better. We're here to develop ourselves and become better humans. And you can't do that without being able to solve problems. So try this out. Try it out for the next 90 days. If you don't like it after that, feel free to give it up. But I wish you the best of luck. If you want to read the full long form article that I wrote on this, I'll put the link as the first one in the description. Follow me across all social medias at Damien Alvarez. Check out my website, damienalvarez.com, and I will see you in the next one.